You know, what's going to come out of her mouth, but really her heart. When
and is that Jeff Bezos out there right by the capsule? Kind of hard to see.
That is.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here goes Jeff Bezos to open the hatch.
Oh. She didn't really close it again. Come on out, guys.
So Jeff Bezos is literally waiting to open the spaceship for Katy Perry with a tool. Then the door opens and they run over and tell him to close it. And then, obviously, a few minutes later, Jeff Bezos goes over with that handy tool and opens the door. And they all are like, "Way! Whoa!" They messed up live on TV, but I've got more evidence of this fakery. Check this out.
So this is Hive moderation. It detects AI and deepfake imagery and videos. I was convinced that this Blue Origin video was fake, so I put it through Hive moderation. And look what we get, 82%. Wow.
So obviously straight away there was two pretty good evidences of a bit of fakery. But what about the badge? When you flip this badge, it looks like this in the corner. And then you think about how many people went. There were 6 of them, and look at their arm positions at the back right there. What are they doing right there that resembles this photo in the corner? And what does this logo look like when it's inverted? Obviously this were all for entertainment, and I'm as fictional as a dinosaur.
Katy Perry faked her space trip. More and more evidence and inconsistencies suggest that the entire story of her flight aboard the Blue Origin rocket was a carefully staged illusion rather than a real space mission. Allegedly, she flew to space along with 5 other women without a single man in the crew, a completely female-only team, which is already unusual. The flight supposedly lasted a total of 11 minutes, including the return to Earth. But what raises the most suspicion is the fact that not a single camera showed the inside of the rocket during the entire flight. In an era when every second of such missions is usually broadcast live from multiple angles, this lack of footage seems more like an attempt to hide something than a technical issue. Upon landing, the capsule hit the ground at around 25 miles per hour. That's quite a hard impact, and yet not a single person was injured, not even scratched. Reportedly, all of them came out smiling and full of enthusiasm, as if they landed on a pillow, not hard ground. Doesn't that sound suspicious? In addition, it took almost 15 minutes before they opened the capsule after landing. If everything went smoothly, why the delay? Where was the medical team, the doctors, the standard procedures for checking vital signs after a trip? Did you notice that daisy in Katy Perry's hand? This seemingly innocuous flower may have uncovered a space travel hoax. Katy Perry has completed her 11-minute journey into space. However, when she stepped out of the capsule, people were surprised to find that the daisy she was holding in her hand was still intact. The petals were soft and full, without any signs of drying or distortion, and looked as fresh as if they had just been picked up from a flower shop on Earth. This led the public to question, did she really go to space? You know, in the microgravity environment, plant tissues will be deformed and collapse due to lack of support. A flower without root support in the outer space environment of lack of water, low temperature, and strong radiation will be dehydrated, withered, and discolored in a few minutes. According to scientific data, a daisy will shrink by at least half in space, and its petals will also appear significantly deformed. But throughout Katy Perry's so-called space journey, the flower has always been a constant presence. There are growing signs that this may just be a show shot in a simulated capsule. Bezos's Blue Origin space company, which focuses on space travel for the wealthy, needed a big publicity campaign. But the cost of actually going to space is extremely high.
From doors opening in the wrong direction to the duration of the joyride being too short, some claims have gained thousands of likes and shares online. So we've brought in an expert to explain. Touching down in Texas, kicking up plumes of dust.
Congratulations and welcome back to Earth.
The all-female flight starring Katy Perry and TV personality Gayle King on board Bezos's 6-seater Blue Origin could be described as a roaring success, lasting a total of 11 minutes.
But it's this moment that's caught the attention of conspiracy theorists. The hatch opening from the inside, minutes before Bezos uses a tool to open it. Here's the audio.
You didn't really close it again.
The argument online is that a pressure-proof hatch shouldn't be able to open so easily from the inside.
Doors are also on spacecraft able to be opened both by the inside and the outside. This is a very common trait, and that is for safety reasons.
So, was the entire spaceflight staged, or were they just waiting for the cameras? After all, the event had no shortage of theatrics.
Air cushion that will kick up the dust. It's a very soft landing despite the sporty perception. There it is.
No wonder Katy Perry's space trip has been questioned by 30 million people. The daisy in her hand reveals that this is a huge hoax. Firstly, the environment outside the space capsule is an extremely dry one that is close to a vacuum. However, the daisy in Katy Perry's hand not only didn't dehydrate and curl up, but there were even water droplets on the petals. In comparison, during the space trip that Jeff Bezos personally participated in 2023, the rose specimens carried by his fellow passengers had dried up and turned brown when they returned. In contrast, Katy's daisy looked like a brand new product just taken out from a flower shop. Secondly, sharp-eyed netizens noticed that when Katy was showing the beautiful scenery outside the capsule, the arrangement of the stars behind her was exactly the same as that in the live broadcast 10 minutes ago, and her background looked more like the LED curtain commonly used in Hollywood. Finally, as a public figure with 150 million fans, she should have used the space trip to convey scientific knowledge, but instead, she chose to attract attention with false behaviors. When she made a heart gesture towards the camera during the live broadcast and said that the daisy was a lucky charm given to her by the universe, she might have been misleading.
I love you, Daisy.
Why did Katy Perry close the already opened space capsule door? A controversial interview uncovered the conspiracy behind this publicity stunt. Due to Katy Perry's overly exaggerated performance after getting out of the capsule, the 11-minute spaceflight made it seem as if they had just returned from Mars, and even Elon Musk would have to admit defeat. However, Katy's action of closing the capsule door later revealed the truth of this space marketing. Many viewers noticed that the capsule door could only be opened when all the media were present, and it had to be Jeff Bezos himself who opened the door to kick off this game for the wealthy. It is said that Blue Origin priced each seat at $28 million. These rich people spend so much money just to have an experience similar to riding a large roller coaster because the rocket can only fly to an altitude of 100 kilometers above the Earth, and the weightless experience only lasts for 4 minutes. Looking at it this way, Bezos really only targets the rich. In contrast, Elon Musk has the grand aspiration of colonizing Mars with 1 million people, and the future round-trip ticket price to Mars will not be higher than $500,000, and the return ticket may even be free. With SpaceX's current technology, it is certain that it can take ordinary people to a higher altitude in space and bring... Did you notice the LED strips around the waist of Katy Perry's spacesuit? This indicates that this 11-minute space journey is just a carefully planned reality show. The spacesuits worn by Katy Perry and her group are full of a sense of fashion, with a double zipper design on the chest, LED strips all over the waist, and form-fitting flared pants. They have been dubbed the space disco battlesuits by the media. These fashionable elements simply don't meet the design standards of a proper spacesuit. They just took part in a simulated reality show in a space capsule. Firstly, the LED strips around Katy's waist may generate electromagnetic interference when in operation. In an environment as highly sensitive to electronic devices as space, this is absolutely unacceptable. Secondly, Lauren Sanchez, who served as the flight leader, has had breast augmentation surgery. Breast implants are likely to rupture in a high vacuum environment, yet she returned safely. Moreover, not many people know that she is the fiancée of Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, and also the founder of Blue Origin. This is obviously a commercial collaboration aimed at enhancing the company's popularity and influence. Finally, none of them carried out physical fitness training or operation simulations in advance. Gail King, who is 70 years old, also participated in the flight. Entering space requires healthy bones and a strong cardiorespiratory function to adapt to the weightless state, and the physical fitness of the elderly simply fails to meet the requirements. These details make us suspect that this is just a simulated space capsule experience.
Okay, here's another anomaly. Look at this and tell me this is not strange, this thing in the window. You can see it in the video, and then when it finally has impact, it disappears. But what is that in the window? See it there? Watch it in the window, and then you'll see it'll disappear when it smashes into the ground. But makes you think that it's not even a window there, that it's just an open space or something. Like, what is that?
I hate to be that person, but look at Katy Perry. Zoom in and look at Katy Perry. Does that not look like AI or a robot or something? And I know, chill with the conspiracies. No, this is genuinely a conspiracy, because why does she look like this? And as you know, they just lifted off into space.
New Shepard has cleared the tower.
Now, we know what happened to the last people that went to space. So why would they even embark on this journey? And are they just planning something? Because that does not look like Katy Perry. Matter of fact, everyone looks like AI in this photo, but Katy Perry for sure looks like AI. So are they just playing in our face once again? Apparently, they're just supposed to be going into space and then coming right back to Earth. So it's supposed to be a quick turnaround trip, whatever the case may be. So it shouldn't be an 8-month or a year times like the last people who were there. But I can kid you not, if something happens, reminder, I called it first. If something happens, because would I be surprised if they're trying to pull some type of okie doke? And you might say, well, why? Well, if you get famous people involved in a big lie and a big deception, then more people are going to think that it's real. That's why, because they all have fans and people who idolize them, and they are all going to now subscribe to the idea of being able to leave Earth's atmosphere. That's why. Remember, it expels God.
It is the highest high, and it is surrender to the unknown, trust, and this whole journey is not just about going to space. It's the training, it's the team, it's the whole thing. I couldn't recommend this experience more. This is like up there with all the, different tools that I've learned in my life, from meditation to the Hoffman process. This is up there because what you're doing is you're like really finding the love for yourself, because you got to trust in yourself on this journey. And then you're feeling the love when you come down, for sure. And you're feeling that strength. So I feel really connected to that strong, divine feminine right now.
By the way, you're such a badass. I love that the month of April, you're like, I'm going to space.
Blue Origin sent a rocket to space containing a bunch of semi-famous women. They became the first all-woman crew to visit space. Well, they weren't flying the thing. I don't think that counts as a first all-female crew. Here is some video of these people.
It's okay. Leave Flynn up there. Flynn, bye.
There's Katy Perry holding a daisy.
I got you, Flynn. Gotcha. Proud of you, Flynn. Oh, the moon. You guys, I have to tell you, look at the moon. That's amazing.
Cool.
Wow, look at the blue line.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Wow.
That's our pink moon.
Okay.
Now listen, very cool. I mean, honestly, like a cool thing. Also, clown show. So a few things happening at once there. And apparently, she then said, Katy Perry was singing to people, "What a wonderful world." And, again, no jokes about people floating off into space. And first of all, great premise for a film, right, is that you send all these people to space and then they lose connection with Earth and somebody has to go save them, presumably Bruce Willis and a team of all men.
Do you see the difference in the spacesuits? The first from NASA, then SpAcE. The suits are different but have a similar setup. Then you have Blue Origin in the skin tight. Flared pantsuit, no helmet, no breathing equipment, just in case something was to go wrong. Seems sus to me. What do you think?
My young nigga hop out, jump out, you try catch a hat. AMP long in hell, I'm swinging that bitch like a bat. With that AK, this shit go pack. I got a